Hello, everyone, and I will be talking about this week's readings. There were actually several things in both of these books and several of the chapters that had stuck out to me. One in the director's vision was the section where they were talking about staying true to the playwright's words and the script that they had written. Um, this actually made me think back to a couple of things. It actually made me think back to when they had mentioned working with the playwright when you are directing and producing a show. Um, and I think both things are just as equally as important. But it made me think of that because there have been instances where I have seen where directors, producers, whoever have taken like books or scripts and then took things out of the story, and then when you kind of saw the final product, the things that they had taken out had just lessened the story so much. One was this series of books that I had read. There were like three books, and they had decided that they were going to turn these books into movies. So when the first movie came out, it did a pretty good job. It stuck to the story. Of course, things taken out because, when you're turning a book into a movie, they got to take stuff out because time wise. But then when the second movie came, they put things in the movie that weren't in the book. They took pivotal things that were out of the book. And it kind of lessened the story a little bit. And then by the time that the third movie had come out, I mean, it was just kind of a half and half of like stuff they did was in the book, stuff they did wasn't in the book. They like add things, they took out things, and it was just, and at some point it was kind of like I really don't know what story I'm watching, but it's not what I remember reading. And again, this actually made me think back to when they were producing and directing and making the Harry Potter series of movies, because they had worked with the author through the entire series. And so while yes, things were taken out of the books again, from the movie's time length, they made it work and they made it make sense. And the author was right there working with them side by side to make sure that because they wanted to stay true to her story and the things that she had written. And so I definitely think that when you are directing, whether it is play, musical, movie, that you need to take care of what the author has written, because you don't know what their process has been going through writing all of that stuff. And it may have taken them a while to like perfect scenes, perfect speeches, monologues, dynamic between characters, relationships between characters, to get their body of work just right. And so you want to make sure that you are doing their body of work justice. Something else that had caught my attention in Hey Kids, Let's Put On a Show. There's just several things that they had mentioned that I thought were really, really interesting. One of them was getting teachers or like the school principal to make cameos in your show. And when I read that, I just thought, oh wow, that's that's actually really great, because it was something that we didn't do. And I think that if you absolutely had the opportunity to get as many like teachers or administrators involved, you absolutely should, for several reasons. One, I think the audience itself, they're like gonna show up and like, for example, say you got like the school's PE coach, and like you get all the athletes that show up, like, they're enjoying it. Or like if you get your school principal, I think that would be really fun, because it's also giving that teacher like the opportunity to come in and collaborate with your students and to see the work that you're doing. And in turn, afterwards, they could be an added supporter of like, wanting to help in like other ways as well. I think it would also be kind of fun if you got like the parents maybe to like make a cameo, or like somebody that's like really well known in your town to like come in. I think like any opportunity you have to like do that. But I think if it is a school teacher, administrator, whatever, that would definitely be really cool. Something else in that chapter was having your local newspaper to come in and kind of interview and do like an article with your students. I think that that would be absolutely amazing. Um, Again, that's something that's I've never seen a director do, like in terms of like high school. I think if you could, it would be a really great opportunity, because then it gets your students talking about and giving their own thoughts and opinions about like what's happening, whether it's like about the play, the story, the rehearsal process, how it's been for them like working in this environment. um I also think, like, on top of that, if you get like your local newspaper to come and sit and review and watch your show, I think that would just kind of be an added bonus on top of that, because then they're like seeing the work that the students are talking about. And then, of course, they're putting it into the local paper and then telling everybody else about it. So then it's going to double your audience, like maybe like the next night or so that you are running the show, you're going to get more people coming to see it. So I definitely think if you have that kind of opportunity to get your local paper to do something, or like, if they have like a website, to get them to put something on there, along with like pictures as well, like to kind of just, when I was there and like these are the photos I took and like this is what's happening, and again, to just get them to talk to your students and get your students talking about it. I think it would be awesome.